The alien fleet still circled Earth like a crown of shadows. Weeks had passed since the first battles. Humanity had lost many lives, yet the people had not surrendered. Instead, something unexpected was happening. For the first time in history, Earth's nations were no longer rivals. They were partners in survival. Governments shared information, scientists worked side by side, and military leaders planned together. Old walls of mistrust began to fall. Humanity, divided for centuries, was learning the meaning of true unity. The aliens had wanted fear. Instead, they had created strength. The secret labs deep underground, in hidden laboratories across the globe, scientists studied every fragment of alien technology that had been captured. Broken metal pieces, burnt circuits, and shards of glowing energy cores were examined day and night. In one lab, Dr. Elena Ramirez from Spain held a piece of alien metal in her hand. It glowed faintly with strange blue patterns that shifted like water. "This material heals itself," she whispered. Beside her, a Japanese engineer named Hiro Tanaka nodded. "Yes, but only if the damage is small. If we overload it with enough energy, the healing slows. That means we can hurt them. We just need the right tools." Across the table, an American scientist added, "And we're already building those tools." It was true. Using fragments of alien systems, humans were beginning to create new weapons and shields. They could not match the aliens yet, but they were learning fast. Faster than the Korthar expected. Humanity adapts. Meanwhile, ordinary people joined the effort. Miners dug deep for rare metals, knowing every piece of ore could be used in new machines. Hackers worked on alien signals, trying to decode the enemy's language and codes. Farmers offered their fields for hidden bases and supply depots. Teachers told children stories of courage, keeping hope alive for the next generation. In one city, a mechanic repaired broken drones and attached makeshift rockets to them. "Not pretty," he said with a grin, "but it'll fly." In another town, fishermen loaded their boats with explosives, ready to turn their simple vessels into weapons if needed. Everywhere, humanity turned simple tools into instruments of survival. The aliens thought humans were weak because they had fewer advanced ships. They did not realize that humans could turn anything, metal, fuel, even ideas, into weapons. The Battle of the Moon. The true test came near the moon. The Korthar commander had grown frustrated by the slow progress. He decided to strike a blow so powerful that humans would finally lose hope. "We will destroy their satellites, their space stations, and any ship they send to orbit," he ordered. "Let them watch their skies burn." A fleet of alien warships moved toward the moon, planning to use it as a base to cut off Earth's communication and defenses. But humanity was ready. For weeks, military leaders had prepared for this very moment. Satellites had been secretly armed with missiles. Ground-based lasers, still experimental, had been installed in deserts and mountains. Small human spacecraft, built quickly from a mix of old rockets and new alien parts, were hidden behind the moon itself, waiting for the right time. When the alien fleet approached, humans launched their plan. First, Earth satellites lit up the sky with missiles, forcing the alien ships to dodge. Then, ground-based weapons fired beams of light that cut through the dark space, striking at the weaker ships. The aliens were shocked. They had expected silence, not resistance. Then came the final strike. From behind the moon, small human ships burst forward, piloted by brave men and women who knew they might not return. Their ships were slower, but they moved with courage. They fired rockets, crashed drones, and even used explosive traps hidden in space debris. The battle raged for hours. Explosions flashed in the emptiness, lighting up the moon's gray surface. Alien weapons were powerful, and many human ships were lost. But one by one, alien warships began to retreat. They had not expected such coordination, such creativity. When the last alien ship pulled back toward the main fleet, humanity cheered. It was the first major victory. For the first time, the aliens had been forced to retreat. The Korthar doubts on the flagship. The commander sat in silence, his jaw tight. Reports came in of damaged ships and lost soldiers. Never before had such a primitive species caused the Korthar such trouble. One advisor finally spoke. "Commander, perhaps we underestimated them. They adapt faster than others. They learn with speed we did not predict." The commander's eyes narrowed. "No, they are reckless. That is all. Reckless creatures burn bright but die quickly. We will crush them. But even as he spoke, doubt grew in his heart. Humanity had already proven something no other world had. They could stand against the Empire and not fall in fear. A world united back on Earth, celebrations spread. People danced in the streets. Children drew pictures of rockets striking alien ships. Families lit candles for lost heroes. For the first time, humanity felt hope that victory was possible. In the United Nations, representatives from every nation stood together. A resolution was passed. Earth was united in defense. There would be no surrender, no separate treaties. Humanity would stand as one species. A leader from Africa stood at the podium and said, "For centuries we were divided. But the stars have given us a challenge so great that we had no choice but to unite. Today we are not nations. Today we are humanity." The speech echoed across the world. Even in small villages and distant mountains, people heard those words and felt pride. The spirit of resistance everywhere. Humans trained harder. Soldiers learned to fight in spacesuits. Pilots practiced maneuvers that pushed their bodies to the limit. Scientists risked their lives testing alien reactors. The spirit of resistance grew stronger each day. In one training camp, a soldier looked up at the night sky where the alien fleet still glowed faintly. "They think we're weak," he said to his comrades. "Let them keep thinking that. One day we'll show them who we are." The message to the stars after the Battle of the Moon, humanity sent its own message into space. It was broadcast in many languages, carried by satellites, radio waves, and even simple signals. It said, "We are humanity. We do not surrender. We fight not because we are the strongest, but because this is our home. If you come to take it, know this, we will resist. We may fall, but we will never kneel." The aliens heard the message. At first they laughed. But later, when they looked at the scars on their ships and remembered the courage of the humans who had attacked with nothing but improvised weapons, they stopped laughing. The turning point, the victory near the moon, was not the end of the war. Humanity still faced enormous danger. The alien fleet was vast and its weapons were unmatched. Yet something had changed. For the first time, the aliens realized this war would not be simple. For the first time, humanity realized survival was possible. The turning point had come. The universe was beginning to see the truth. Humanity was not just another species to conquer. Humanity was something different, something dangerous to provoke. And deep inside, the Korthar commander knew this was no longer a routine conquest. This was a fight unlike any his people had faced before. The will of humanity had been awakened, and it would not rest until the skies were free again. The Korthar fleet hovered above Earth, quiet for the first time in weeks. Their initial confidence had been shaken. Ships that once moved in perfect formation now lagged behind. Energy cores hummed with overuse. Repairs were rushed, and alien officers whispered in worry. Something about humanity unsettled them, though they could not yet name it. Commander Zirath, the leader of the Korthar Armada, sat in the observation chamber of the flagship. His eyes glimmered as he looked down at the planet below. Cities glowed like jewels in the dark, and yet he saw more than buildings. He saw a species that refused to yield, a species that had survived impossible odds and still stood proud. "I do not understand," Zirath muttered. "Their weapons are weak. Their defenses are primitive. And yet they hurt us. They fight with a madness I have never seen." One advisor, an older Korthar with silver streaks along his scales, spoke carefully. "Commander, perhaps we need to study them. Not as a threat, but as a curiosity. Why do they fight when they are clearly weaker?" Zirath's gaze hardened. "Curiosity is irrelevant. They will be crushed, but study them if you must. I want to know why they will not bend." Hidden strength. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued with an uneasy rhythm. Humanity had learned to strike back, to defend, and to survive. But it was not only weapons that mattered. It was their minds, their hearts, and their history. Ordinary people found courage in extraordinary ways. A teacher in South America guided students through drills for safety and survival, while explaining why humans never give up. A fisherman in the Arctic converted his boat into a sensor vessel, quietly watching the skies for alien movements. The alien attacks had become less frequent, not because they were hesitant, but because the Korthar were studying Earth. They sent scanning probes, intercepting signals and analyzing data. Yet every signal, every response told them the same story. Humans adapt. Humans resist. Humans endure. In secret laboratories, humans continued to innovate. Alien materials were shaped into armor, energy weapons were improved, and communication systems became almost unbreakable. Every day brought a new invention, a new tactic, a new surprise for the aliens. Discovering history in their own way, the aliens began to dig deeper. They scoured the records of Earth, archived knowledge, history books, records of wars and disasters, stories of triumph and survival. What they found was astonishing. Humanity had lived under countless threats. Entire civilizations had risen and fallen. Empires had been conquered and rebuilt. Nations had fought each other for centuries, yet somehow humans endured. Natural disasters, floods, fires, earthquakes, pandemics had wiped out millions, yet humanity had always recovered. Xyrath studied these histories with growing unease. "They fight not because they are strong, but because they have always fought," he whispered. "They survive because surrender is not part of them. Every generation has been tested, and they endure." Another advisor frowned. "Commander, it is as if their very nature is resilience. They are forged by struggle." Xyrath's sharp gaze turned to Earth again. "And we thought them weak, preparing for the unexpected." The Korthar realized they could not simply rely on weapons to win. Humans were clever, unpredictable, and united in ways the aliens had never seen. Even the smallest town could become a battleground, where humans found new ways to defend themselves. Every attack only made humanity stronger, more adaptive, and more determined. In response, the aliens began changing their strategies. They sent scouts to observe, not to attack. They attempted to communicate, but humans were cautious. Trust was not given lightly. Earth's leaders knew that words meant little without actions, and the aliens' past conquests made them wary. In one communication, a human general spoke firmly. "We do not start wars. We do not invade worlds. We defend what is ours. Any attack against Earth will be met with resistance, and any aggression will awaken a force you do not understand." The aliens interpreted this as boldness, but the humans meant something deeper. They were warning that humanity's true strength lay not in technology or weapons, but in their unyielding will. Learning to adapt, humans were not waiting idly while the aliens studied them. They continued to improve their defenses, incorporating alien technology and learning from each encounter. Pilots practiced daring maneuvers, engineers built energy shields, and civilians contributed wherever they could. Every human became part of a larger effort. In one hidden facility, a young engineer looked at a piece of alien machinery. "It's amazing," he said, "but it's also simple. Once we understand the logic, we can use it against them." Nearby, a scientist added, "Yes, but it's not just the tech. It's our creativity, our unity, our will to survive. That is what makes the difference." Across the globe, communities practiced coordination, strategy, and rapid adaptation. Humanity was learning faster than the aliens anticipated. Each small victory built confidence, and each failure taught lessons. The first real fear. The Korthar commander had never felt fear. Not like this. He had conquered worlds without mercy, destroyed civilizations without pause. And yet, something about humanity made him uneasy. Reports from scouts were filled with words like unexpected, unpredictable, and tenacious. Ships that were supposed to be easy victories were damaged. Humans had used clever tactics, turned natural terrain into traps, and struck at weak points the aliens had not even considered. Xyrath paced in his chamber. "They are not like others. They learn from every strike, every loss. They endure." An advisor hesitated. "Commander, we may have underestimated the cost of this conquest." Xyrath's eyes narrowed. "Underestimated? Perhaps, but still, we will not fail. We cannot." And yet he could not shake the realization that humans were dangerous not because of their weapons, but because of their spirit, humanity's message on Earth. People continued to send messages into space. They were not threats, they were warnings, lessons, and declarations. One message read simply, "We protect our home. We do not seek war, but we do not flee from it. If you strike, know that humanity will endure. We fight for each other, for our world, and for life itself." The aliens intercepted these messages. At first they saw them as arrogance, but the tone was different. It was not arrogance. It was resolve. It was something they had not encountered before, a species that could be tested, hurt, challenged, and still stand unbroken. A new understanding weeks passed. The Korthar began holding secret councils. They debated strategies, weaknesses, and what it meant to face humanity. They had faced countless species, countless civilizations, yet nothing prepared them for this. One elder advisor spoke almost in awe. "Commander, we have always judged strength by weapons, by numbers, by technology, but they are strong because they never give up. They survive because surrender is not in them. They are forged in struggle, they are unbreakable." Xyrath fell silent. He had conquered empires, yet he felt a creeping fear. For the first time, he realized that power alone could not win a war against humans. Something deeper, something invisible, gave them strength, preparing for the next phase. The revelation changed everything. The Korthar would no longer rely solely on destruction. They would study, strategize, and anticipate. They would need new tactics. And yet, deep inside, Xyrath knew one truth. No matter what they did, humanity's resilience could never be fully defeated. On Earth, humans continued their work. They did not know that the aliens were analyzing their history, their courage, and their spirit. They only knew one thing: survival was possible, and they were determined to defend their home. In quiet corners of cities, in hidden laboratories, and on distant mountains, humanity whispered the same promise: we will not surrender. We will endure, and we will rise stronger after every attack. Above them, the alien fleet waited, uneasy. They had discovered something they had never expected. Humanity's true strength was not in numbers or technology, but in their will, their heart, and their unity. And for the first time, the Korthar feared what they had awakened. The revelation had been made. Humanity was no ordinary species. Humanity was a force that could not be provoked without consequence. The final hour had come. The Korthar fleet gathered above Earth in full force, stretching across the horizon like a living shadow. Every ship glimmered with alien energy, weapons ready to strike, engines humming with power that could tear cities from the ground. Yet the commanders in the alien flagship felt tension in a way they had never felt before. Humanity had survived, adapted, and fought back. This would not be an easy conquest. On Earth, preparations were underway on every continent. Soldiers, pilots, engineers, and civilians worked side by side. Cities were fortified, underground bunkers supplied, and weapon systems upgraded. Humans had taken what they had learned from previous battles and turned it into an unprecedented defense strategy. Dr. Elena Ramirez, now leading a global team of scientists, examined a newly built energy shield. "It's stable," she said. "It can hold for hours, maybe long enough to force them back." A pilot beside her, Lieutenant Mark Rivers, grinned. "Hours are enough. That's all we need to prove one thing: we're not afraid." Humanity united. Humanity had learned a powerful lesson from the previous battles. Strength was not only in weapons, but in unity. Nations shared technology, intelligence, and strategy. Air forces coordinated with naval fleets. Ground troops moved with precision to protect cities and key infrastructure. Civilians acted as the hidden support, guiding pilots, relaying messages, and maintaining supply lines. In one control room, representatives from countries that had once been rivals now sat shoulder to shoulder. A young engineer said, "It's strange, isn't it? It took aliens to make us work together." A general replied, "We don't need enemies to find strength, but when we do, we show it." Across the world, the message was clear: Earth would not bow, and humanity would fight as one. The sky ignites. The aliens launched their assault at dawn. The sky over the Pacific and Atlantic lit up with beams of alien energy. Ships moved in deadly formation, their weapons capable of obliterating entire cities in minutes. Humanity's forces responded immediately. Jets flew in coordinated waves. Drones darted between the ships, and missile batteries fired in unison. Explosions lit the clouds and reflected off the oceans. Cities trembled below as energy blasts struck near coasts, yet human defenses held strong. Even when the Korthar destroyed a few satellites, humans quickly adapted. Engineers redirected signals, pilots altered flight patterns, and scientists activated emergency shields. On board one alien ship, Commander Xyrath's eyes narrowed as reports poured in. Ships were being damaged in ways they had not anticipated. Humans were no longer reacting, they were predicting, improvising, and countering. "They adapt. Faster than we calculated," an officer muttered. Xyrath's voice was sharp. "Then we will adapt faster. Strike harder. Show them the power of the Korthar. But even he could feel the edge of doubt. Unexpected ingenuity, humans continued to surprise the aliens. Small vessels armed with experimental energy disruptors darted in and out of space debris, striking alien weapon systems and then vanishing. Mining ships converted into emergency attack craft using explosives in clever ways. Pilots performed maneuvers the aliens could not anticipate, attacking weak points that no one had noticed before. In one daring strike, Lieutenant Rivers piloted a small craft directly toward an alien battleship. Using a combination of rockets and electromagnetic pulses, he temporarily disabled its weapon systems. The alien crew panicked as alarms blared. The damage was small, but the act symbolized humanity's courage. They risked everything because surrender was never an option. Below, civilians watched the skies. Children drew pictures of rockets and brave pilots, while adults passed messages of hope and instructions for safety. Every citizen, no matter their role, became part of the defense. Humanity was proving its strength was not only in machines but in its people. The turning tide hours passed. The alien fleet, once confident and orderly, now faced disarray. Ships were damaged, retreating in pockets, trying to regroup. Humanity had learned their patterns and adapted new countermeasures. Every strike the aliens made was met with strategy, improvisation, and resilience. On the Korthar flagship, Zarath's advisors spoke in hurried tones. "Commander, they are more dangerous than we imagined. We can destroy many, but not all. Their spirit, it cannot be broken." Zarath's jaw tightened. Spirit does not destroy metal. Fire does. But deep inside he knew fire alone was not enough. He had seen their courage, their creativity, their unity. These humans did not surrender even when their world shook beneath alien fire. They endured and they struck back, harder than the Korthar had expected. The final push humanity's leaders had anticipated this moment. Using a combination of alien technology and human ingenuity, they prepared a decisive counterattack. Energy shields were positioned to protect cities. Satellites were armed with precise missiles, and fleets of small ships were ready to harass the alien armada. As the main alien fleet entered Earth's orbit, humans launched their plan. Satellites fired first, striking critical weapon systems. Small crafts darted forward, disrupting engines and communications. Ground-based lasers fired at the alien ships, forcing them into defensive maneuvers. Every action was coordinated, every move calculated, yet unpredictable enough to confuse the aliens. The battle reached a climax when human forces, using a combination of ingenuity and bravery, forced the alien fleet to retreat in disorder. Explosions lit the skies, fires burned in space debris, and the Korthar were forced to withdraw to regroup. A lesson learned on the alien flagship. Commander Zarath sat in silence, watching the retreating fleet. The battle had been lost, not entirely, but enough to teach a lesson. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not predictable. Humanity would not surrender. An advisor spoke carefully. "Commander, we underestimated them. They fight not because of weapons, but because of will. Their courage? It is dangerous." Zarath nodded slowly. "Dangerous indeed. We thought them primitive, but they are unlike any species we have faced. Their strength lies not in their ships, but in their hearts." He realized what the Korthar had always overlooked. Provoking humanity was not just unwise, it was perilous. They had awakened a force that could not be tamed by fear or technology. Humanity's message to the stars after the battle, humanity sent a final broadcast into space. "We do not seek war. We do not desire conquest. We only protect our home. If any being seeks to take it, know this: humanity will endure. We fight for each other, for life and for freedom. We will not bow. We will not break. We are humanity." This message traveled far beyond Earth, reaching the scattered remnants of the alien fleet. For the Korthar, it was more than words, it was a declaration. Humanity had proven itself not through sheer power, but through unity, creativity, and indomitable spirit. Victory. Without arrogance, on Earth, people celebrated, but not with arrogance. They mourned their dead, repaired their cities, and helped one another. They knew this was not a victory of domination. It was a victory of survival, of courage, and of heart. Humanity had faced a threat unlike any other and had stood tall. Children ran through streets filled with light. Parents hugged one another, and communities rebuilt what had been damaged. Humanity's resilience had been tested, and it had endured. In secret, scientists continued to study alien technology, pilots continued to train, and leaders continued to plan. Humanity had proven its strength, but they also knew that vigilance would always be necessary. The universe was vast and challenges were inevitable. The ultimate revelation above, the Korthar fleet retreated, carrying back a lesson that would echo through their empire. Never provoke humanity. They were unlike any other species. Their strength was not in weapons, ships, or numbers. It was in willpower, courage, and unity. The universe had learned something that Earth had always known. Humanity could endure, adapt, and rise stronger from any challenge. To awaken that spirit was to awaken a force that could never be fully defeated. Commander Zirath finally spoke, quietly, almost to himself. We sought to conquer them, but in doing so we discovered something we cannot control. Humanity should never be provoked. And on Earth, life returned to a fragile peace. Yet humanity had changed. They had seen the stars, faced fear beyond imagination, and discovered their true potential. The day the aliens had arrived would be remembered not as a day of fear, but as the day humanity proved why it should never be underestimated. Epilogue. The stars above Earth glimmered peacefully once more, yet every human knew that vigilance would always be needed. For the first time, the world had stood together against a threat from beyond. For the first time, humanity had fully realized its own strength, and somewhere in the darkness of space, the Korthar fleet drifted, scarred, and wiser. They would tell their species of the humans who fought not just with weapons, but with heart and courage. They would tell of a species that survived, adapted, and proved that provoking humanity was a danger unlike any other. The universe would never forget. The Galactic Council Chamber was one of the largest structures ever built in the galaxy. It stood like a shining star city on the world of Atheron Prime. Its halls could fit hundreds of ships, and its central dome was wide enough to carry the voices of thousands of species. Every star system that held power or influence had a seat here. For centuries, it was the place where decisions of peace and war were made, where civilizations argued, bargained, and shaped the fate of worlds. On this day, the chamber was more crowded than usual. Word had spread quickly. The council was meeting to decide the future of Earth, a small blue planet on the edge of known space. Most members had never even visited Earth. To many, it was just another primitive world, rich in water, minerals, and biological life. Its people had only recently begun traveling to nearby planets. They had no colonies, no grand fleets, and no seat in the council. Some members described humans as noisy, chaotic creatures who could never agree among themselves. Others saw them as an easy opportunity. Inside the dome, voices clashed like storms. The humans waste their world, said the Vrantel delegate, a tall figure covered in scaled armor. His voice hissed as he spoke. They dig into the ground, burn their air, and fight each other constantly. Their planet deserves to be managed by wiser hands. Their oceans alone, added the Grexorian envoy, whose body floated within a tank of liquid, could fuel our colonies for centuries. Their forests and farmlands would end hunger on dozens of worlds. And their metals, rare, strong, untouched, lie waiting for us. If we hesitate, some other power will claim them. Others nodded. Many had studied the humans from afar. They knew Earth had divisions among nations, political disputes, and constant rivalries. Some described humans as reckless, too emotional, and often violent, but not everyone agreed. They are young. Yes, said Counselor Thalen of the Serai, a calm being with silver skin that shimmered like light on water. But youth does not mean weakness. They have endured challenges that would have destroyed other species. They survive storms, quakes, plagues, and endless wars among themselves, and still they rise again. Do not underestimate their will. A low murmur spread across the chamber. Will? What will can stand against fleets of warships? The Grexorian envoy bubbled inside his tank. Their space travel is slow. Their weapons are old. Their defenses are thin. One fleet could bring their entire world to its knees. Exactly, hissed the Vrantel. Why waste time debating? Let us vote. Before the vote, the Speaker of the Council, a towering Etheron elder with a voice like distant thunder, raised her hand. If you call for invasion, remember the law. The Council does not strike lightly. Once done, it cannot be undone. Her warning carried weight. But ambition was stronger. One by one, the delegates placed their votes. Names of species glowed in bright colors across the chamber walls. For Earth's fate, the votes were recorded. Invade, invade, invade. Only a few dared to oppose. Councillor Thalen of the Serai voted against. The Chiron delegate, a small feathered being, voted against. A handful of others added their voices. But they were drowned by the majority. At last, the speaker's voice rang out. The council has spoken. By majority, Earth shall be invaded. Its resources shall be claimed under council control. The operation begins at once. The decision sent ripples of excitement through many worlds. Fleets began preparing. Soldiers were trained, warships fueled, and invasion plans drafted. To most of the galaxy, it was only a matter of time before Earth became just another conquered planet under council law. But the humans, unaware of the vote that sealed their fate, continued their daily lives on their small blue world. They worked, argued, dreamed, and built their future as always. Far above them, the stars shifted. Days after the vote, the delegates discussed the invasion plans. Maps of Earth filled the holographic air. Bright blue oceans, wide green continents, white peaks of ice, it was a world full of life. They will fall quickly, predicted the Vrantel commander. Their nations do not trust each other. They argue over borders, resources, and power. When our ships arrive, they will not unite. They will surrender piece by piece. Yes, agreed the Grexorian envoy. Divide them and they will break like glass. Only Councillor Thalen remained uneasy. He had studied humans longer than most. He had watched their history of wars, their recoveries from disasters, and their rapid leaps in science. They were not the strongest, nor the most advanced, but they carried something rare, resilience. He remembered one report. Humans, though fragile in body, had crossed frozen mountains, deserts, and oceans long before they had machines. They endured climates that crushed other species. They adapted faster than expected, turning weakness into strength. Standing before the council, Thalen spoke again. You believe they will fall because they are divided. But have you not seen? When they face a true danger, they set aside division. Their history proves it. Time after time, they fight each other. But when an enemy threatens all, they unite. That is their nature. If you invade, you will not face a weak people. You will awaken a giant that does not sleep. Laughter filled the chamber. Some called him a dreamer, others a fool. The Serai are too cautious, said the Vrantel commander. You fear where there is no danger? Perhaps, Thalen replied, his silver eyes calm. But remember this day, when your fleets meet resistance you cannot explain. The council dismissed his words. Orders were given. Warships gathered in orbit around staging worlds. Supplies filled their holds and soldiers trained for ground assaults. Their leaders predicted victory within weeks. But beyond their sight, humanity's story was already unfolding. On Earth, scientists were testing new rockets. Engineers were designing faster aircraft. Nations quarreled, but behind every quarrel lay the same human spirit, the will to overcome. And when the Council's fleets finally left their harbors of stars, heading toward the small blue world, they carried with them a dangerous mistake. The belief that humanity would be easy to conquer. The invasion of Earth had been decided. The vote was complete. The chamber of the council grew silent as the session ended, its vast doors closing with a thunderous echo. Councillor Thalen remained seated for a while, staring at the stars projected above the dome. He whispered words none around him understood. May your strength surprise them. Children of Earth, may you show them why your kind survives. Outside the chamber, news of the vote spread across the galaxy like fire. Some worlds celebrated, believing new wealth would soon flow. Others worried, wondering if the council had awakened something dangerous. But only time would tell, and time was running short. The fleets of the Galactic Council moved silently across the stars. Hundreds of ships, shining with metal hulls and carrying weapons of unimaginable power, crossed through the void toward a small blue planet. To the Council, it was a routine mission. They had conquered worlds before. They had bent empires to their will, and Earth was expected to fall even faster. On Earth, life continued as normal. Cities glowed with lights, traffic filled the streets, children played, and people went to work. They had no idea that an armada was approaching from the darkness above. The first sign came when astronomers noticed strange signals in the sky. At first, they thought it was natural, pulsars, radiation bursts, or unknown cosmic events. But soon the patterns became clear. These were not natural. Something was moving directly toward Earth. When the ships finally appeared in orbit, the skies changed forever. The arrival bright lights streaked across the heavens as the alien fleet entered low orbit. Massive ships blocked the stars, their shadows stretching across oceans and continents. People on the ground froze, staring upward. Phones recorded, broadcasts spread, and in every language the same question filled the air. What is happening? The aliens did not stay silent. A single voice translated into every human language echoed through radios, televisions, and digital devices. People of Earth, you are now under the control of the Galactic Council. Your planet belongs to us. Do not resist. Surrender, and you may live in peace as subjects of the Council. At first there was confusion, disbelief, even laughter. Many thought it was a trick, a movie, or some global experiment. But the truth became clear when warships descended lower, sending beams of light that cut through clouds and caused tremors in cities. The world realized this was not a dream. It was an invasion. The first response, governments across Earth reacted with panic, then unity. Leaders contacted each other through emergency channels. Nations that had once argued bitterly now shared intelligence, forming a common defense plan. The United Nations held the fastest emergency meeting in its history. Within hours, they confirmed the truth. Earth faced an alien armada, and survival meant cooperation. For the first time in human history, every rival nation agreed on one goal: defend the planet. While Earth's armies prepared, ordinary people also acted. Scientists raced to understand the alien signals. Engineers studied captured transmissions. Hackers in hidden rooms and crowded apartments launched attacks on alien networks. In days, small cracks appeared in the invaders' systems. Strange malfunctions, confusing errors, unexpected shutdowns. The Council's commanders were shocked. They had expected fear, surrender, and chaos. Instead, they saw determination. Skirmishes in the sky, the first real battle came when alien ships moved to disable Earth's satellites. They believed humans would lose their eyes in space and fall into confusion. But Earth's pilots rose to meet them. Fighter jets, far less advanced than alien craft, darted through the skies like angry wasps. Their weapons were simple missiles and guns. But their tactics were unpredictable. One squad of human pilots flew directly into an alien formation, splitting apart at the last second and striking from angles no simulation had predicted. The aliens destroyed many jets, but several alien crafts fell burning into the sea. For the first time, the Council's fleet reported losses. The aliens called it impossible. How could primitive machines defeat ships with shields and lasers? But the truth was clear. Humans fought with courage, creativity, and a refusal to surrender. Humanity unites as battles spread. Earth grew more united. Nations that once distrusted each other now shared technology and troops. Scientists in different countries worked day and night to decode alien systems. Engineers turned weather satellites into weapons, redirecting solar energy to blind alien sensors. Submarines launched hidden strikes, catching alien vessels by surprise. Even civilians joined the struggle. Mechanics repaired jets faster than ever. Farmers turned fields into supply bases. Students carried information across networks. Humanity became a single organism, working together against the common threat. This unity surprised the aliens most of all. They had studied Earth's history and expected division. Instead, they found strength in cooperation. The invasion falters weeks passed, and still Earth had not surrendered. The aliens grew frustrated. Their commanders sent larger ships, launched stronger attacks, and attempted to strike fear into human hearts. Cities were threatened, power grids disabled, and communications jammed. Yet every time, humans adapted. If power failed, they lit fires and worked by candlelight. If networks went down, they used radios and runners. If cities were struck, survivors rebuilt within days. Reports reached the Galactic Council. Earth is resisting far longer than predicted. Losses increasing. Human creativity unexpected. Recommend reinforcement fleets, but reinforcements would take months to arrive. The invaders had to manage with the forces already sent. A turning point one night above the Atlantic Ocean, a major battle unfolded. Alien ships attempted to establish a base on the seafloor, planning to control the oceans. But humans launched a joint operation. Submarines, jets, and even commercial ships refitted with weapons. The fighting lasted for hours. Waves crashed as beams of light split the water. Human submarines launched torpedoes while jets dropped experimental bombs guided by hacked alien signals. Against all odds, the humans destroyed the alien base before it could be completed. When news spread across Earth, cheers filled the streets. For the first time, humanity realized it could win battles, not just survive them. The aliens watching from orbit were stunned. Their commanders argued in private. "This should not be possible," one said. "Their weapons are outdated. Their ships are weak." "Then explain why we lose ground each day," another replied. "Perhaps we misjudge them." The message of Earth in a hidden base, human leaders broadcast a message back to the alien fleet. "We are the people of Earth. You came expecting surrender. You came expecting weakness. But we will not kneel. Every village, every city, every person will fight. We are many nations, but one humanity. If you want our world, you will pay for every inch with blood and fire. And when you leave, you will remember this: Earth does not fall." The message spread not only to the fleet, but across council-controlled channels. Other species began to watch in silence. For the first time, the galaxy saw humans not as prey, but as something new, a people who stood tall against impossible odds. The shock of the council far away. In the council chamber on Atheron Prime, news reports arrived. Delegates who had once laughed now sat in silence. Losses mounted. Fleets stalled. Humans united. Councillor Thalen, who had warned them before, rose again. His silver skin glowed softly in the chamber's light. "You see now," he said, "they are not easy to break. They do not surrender as you expected. Their strength is not in their weapons, but in their will. This war will not be short, and when it ends, it may not be in your favor." The chamber grew restless. Some demanded more fleets. Others began to whisper of mistakes. But above Earth, the war was far from over. Humanity had taken its first stand, and the invaders realized they were not fighting a simple planet. They were fighting something new, something dangerous, something they could not yet understand. The first contact had been made. The first battles had been fought. And already the galaxy was learning a truth it had long ignored. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not afraid. Humanity was ready,